Hi there, in this video we're going to look at adding HTML content to a page. Here in front of us is the page that we're going to be making together, and we're going to be creating the HTML that makes up, say, this image here, also the navigation in the top. We'll create all these headings here in the middle, okay, this paragraph text. We'll also add these images to the page, okay, and that's the role of HTML. It's the starting point of every website. What's also happening here though is that all of the HTML is being styled by something called CSS. And while the word here called Gold Rush is created in HTML, okay, so you type in the words and you tell it it's a heading, but it's the CSS that gives it its color, its size, and the spacing between letters. The CSS also does the distances, okay, away from these boxes, the background colors, all of that is done with CSS. Essentially, HTML are the building blocks and it's CSS that makes them pretty. In this video though, we're going to focus on writing the HTML. There is another tutorial here that will cover CSS, but today it's step 1, HTML. Now what does HTML look like when there's no CSS applied? Okay, this other tab here. This is the exact same site, but without the CSS. You can see my navigation there. Okay, there's my heading, there's my images, my paragraph text. These are the things that we're going to be adding. And it's not until later when you start adding CSS before they start looking really pretty like they did in the last example. So let's open up Dreamweaver and start adding our HTML. Now, before we go on any further, let's just make sure that we're all in developer mode. Okay, on the top right here, you could be in standard. Let's switch to developer. And I've also defined the site here in Dreamweaver just to manage the files. Now, to follow along, you'll have to do the same. You can do it up here under Site, New Site. Now, we're not going to run through that at the moment. There's another video here to teach you about site definition if you need a little bit of help with that. So this is the HTML page here that we'll be working with. It's called rendered-index-start.html. Now the document here already has some HTML containers. Okay, these are just here so that we've got a place to put our HTML, just to get us started. Let's have a look at these containers in the browser. So if we want to preview our document in a browser, down the bottom right here, you can click on this. Okay, and this is called the real-time browser preview. Click Google Chrome. And this beautiful page is what we're starting with. You can see there's nothing actually on the page. The containers are empty, okay, and they are just ready to receive the HTML we're going to create today. Cool, so let's go and put in our first HTML element. Back to Dreamweaver. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our logo image. Okay, so there is a container set up for it here. So let's go and add our image. Images use a tag. So we're going to start with the angle bracket. We type in img, which is the HTML tag to place an image on the page. Then we put an src, okay, for the source. And we press enter, and you can see Dreamweaver pre-fills out some of the syntax that needs to go in HTML for it to work. Okay, it's put in the equal sign and the quotation marks. Another cool thing is that it's opened up this browse window. Okay, so I can click on browse, and there's my images folder, and I'll be using my logo white. The last thing I need to do is close off my angle brackets, and that is how you insert an image in HTML. The next bit of our HTML, we'll look at our navigation. Okay, so the navigation is going to be in the top right, and how a navigation is traditionally built is that we're going to put it inside this container I already have called nav, which is short for navigation. And you design them with something called an unordered list. Quickly though, before we create our own, this is what our completed unordered list looks like. Essentially, an unordered list is just a bullet point list that we can style to remove the bullet points and make it a good looking navigation. So first up, angle brackets, and we're going to use UL. That's the tag name for our unordered list. We're going to close it off. And tags that you make will have a closing as well. Okay, you can see this one here. The header has an open and it has a close, and it's the same syntax except that there's a // there. You can say the same here with this A tag that already exists. It opens there with an A and has a /A to close it. Same with our UL. So we've got a UL open, and we're going to create it by opening an angle bracket, then putting in our slash. And Dreamweaver is super clever and goes, you probably mean to close it, and just fills in the rest for us. Nice. So the UL is the parent. Inside of this UL, you need list items, okay? And they are the actual bullets that go inside. And they are called LIs, okay? And we're going to close them off the same way. Angle brackets /, Dreamweaver fills it in, okay? And that's going to give it a bullet point list. And what we'll do is inside this list, we'll now put in a link. To put in a link, okay, we open it up, and we use this one that's defaulted to automatically, which is A. And A is an anchor tag used to create anchor links. You complete it by typing in href. The href is the hyperlink reference that references the page or maybe the website that you're going to direct the user to when this link is clicked. Okay, and you can see I started typing href and I use the down arrow, hit return, and Dreamweaver fills it all in. Happy days. Where's this link going to go? We're going to use a placeholder, and that's just the pound or hash sign. You can see hyperlinks are a little bit more complicated than, say, the ally item, but that's okay. Okay, we're going to close it off just like we did the other ones. Angle brackets, / and Dreamweaver fills it in. Now, in between this A tag here, between the angle brackets, this is where you type in the words that you want to put as your menu list. So let's go check what we've done so far out in the browser. And hey, look at that. We have got a navigation, kind of. Okay, it's a little link that's inside of a list item and it's a bullet point, so that makes it an unordered list. Nice work. But you might be asking, where did the image go? And that's kind of my fault. At the moment though, he's up here, okay, but he is a white logo on a white background. And the white logo will make more sense a little later when that green background is added. Cool, so let's go and add the rest of my list items, okay, because we've only got 1 at the moment and there's 5 in total. Back to Dreamweaver. So I've got 5 different options in my navigation. So what I'm going to do is with my cursor inside of here, I could select it all, copy it, put a return, hit paste, that works. But an easier way is to put my cursor inside this li and type Command D on a Mac or Control D on a PC. Okay, and I've hit it 5 times and I can go switch these out. You can see the home. I then go through and maybe have an about. Okay, and I can go switch these out. And that's fine, and we're learning syntax, and that's cool. But a quick way is watch this. All this hard work, goodbye. And what I'm going to do is inside of here, I'm going to use a bit of code helping from Dreamweaver and Emmet. So what I want is a UL. Inside of the UL, I would like some list items. How many would I like? I'd like 5. So *5 times it by 5. And inside of those list items, I'd like an A tag, please. If I hit enter, it does nothing. But if I hit tab on my keyboard, watch this. Wow, super duper time saver. It's tricks like this in Dreamweaver that can really speed up your website build. Now let's put in our pound sign. Now remember, this is just a placeholder and we'll replace this later on to actual links to the pages we'll build. Next, add the names of our nav buttons. I'm going to put in home, about, gallery, tickets, contact. And that's often how navigations are built. And that is the HTML that makes up our navigation. Let's check it in the browser. Cool, so you get the idea of what a raw HTML navigation looks like. What I'd like to do now is to attach a pre-made CSS document to our HTML for the rest of this tutorial. Now I want to stick to making HTML in this tutorial, but I also want the rest of the HTML we create here in this video to look well designed when we're adding it to the page. So let's go and attach our pre-made CSS sheet in Dreamweaver now. So back here in Dreamweaver, we're going to attach our CSS sheet. And you do it up the top here. It has to be done in the head. Okay, so there's the opening of my head and the closing, and it can be done anywhere in here. Okay, I'm gonna do it just after this last bit of script. Now to attach a CSS sheet, there's quite a lot of syntax that goes on the page. So we'll use a trick similar to the one we used earlier on. So we're gonna type in link, okay? And then if you hit tab, cool, huh? It adds everything we need to tell Dreamweaver to attach a style sheet. The last thing we need to do is actually reference the style sheet. And you can see it over here in my files. This is one that I've made earlier. To attach it between these quotes, I'm gonna start typing ST, and you can see Dreamweaver reaches out and says, did you mean this file, styles.css? And I say, yes, please. I'm just hitting return on my keyboard. Now what's happened? Nothing really, right? Especially in code view, but let's go and look at the big change in the browser. Holy moly. Now remember, this is the exact same HTML, but now I've got a pre-made bit of CSS that I made separately. And remember, there is a video tutorial here on CSS specifically, so you can go do that. So my CSS has told it to do a few things. It said, bullets be gone, underlines be gone, the blue be white, and move it to the top and the right. And now we can see my little image. Okay, he's now on a green background, and there's a few other things here, the containers that we've got on our pages. There's this green box, there's also a white box, there's a gradient box. Okay, there's some other elements going on the page, and that is coming from my CSS sheet. Cool, so let's get back into making the HTML with Dreamweaver. Next up, let's add some text. In particular, let's look at headings. Okay, let's look at our finished version. Our finished version has a couple of headings. This is my main heading, and that's considered your heading 1. This is my next most important heading. It's going to be my heading 2, and this one here is going to be my heading 3. So let's go add those in Dreamweaver. It's going to go into this box I've got made earlier here under hero content. And what I'll do is, remember, we'll put in our open angle brackets. The first one at the top is the H2. Okay, close it off, then open it up, and then slash, and it fills it in. That is fast, but it gets faster. Watch this. So we could do that, and that's fine. But if we just type H2 and hit tab, look at that, nice. Okay, so there's my H2, and I will put in my text. Next one is my H1 tab, lovely. This is rendered. There's in the background. Okay, there's my heading 2, and there's my heading 1. Let's add our heading 3. So remember H3 and then tab. Now for this one, I'm going to type this one out because I've got a special character I want to show you. So it should be hyphen and then it goes to the 21st, 2017. Now the hyphen in here, while it works on some browsers, it doesn't work on all of them. So if you need to add a special character, I'm talking about kind of like any of these ones, okay? Any of the kind of like stranger non-letters or numbers, you need to add the special HTML syntax for those, okay? Just to make sure they work everywhere. To do that, they all start with an ampersand, which is cool. And you can see Dreamweaver's helping out here loads, okay? Because I can never remember what all of these are. But you can see if I need to use a percentage sign, okay? It's ampersand, then a pound sign, then 37 semicolon. All of that there is the percentage sign. Okay, let's check in the browser. You can see the browser interprets it and puts in the percentage instead of that crazy looking HTML. So let's go find the one that's going to work for our hyphen. So I'm going to get rid of this one. Remember, what do they start with? Ampersand. Okay, scroll down and there's my hyphen. So it's the ampersand, pound or hash, 45 semicolon. That is a hyphen. Let's check in the browser and there's our hyphen. Nice work. So the last little bit of text in here is, it is in San Francisco. Nice, so there's our H3. Next thing we're going to work on is we're going to put some text in this white area here. It's going to look like this in the end. Okay, this nice big intro text. So let's go and do that. Next on our list of really useful HTML tags is going to be the P tag. And we're going to use that for that introductory text. So it's going to go into this div here, okay, this container div, and we're going to put in a P tag. Okay, so P tab, there's my P tag. Now the P tag is short for paragraph. You'll often have a lot of P tags on your site. Think of them as body copy. So we're going to put in a big chunk of text here. And thanks to the wonderful CSS that we already have attributed to it, it's played around with the font and the size and made it look all pretty. Great, next up is to fill in this part. Let's have a look. It's meant to look like this, nice little image. So let's go do him. So image is the same as before, but we're going to speed it up. Remember we did image and then we did src, and we kind of filled all this in. It gets quicker. You're probably going to guess how this works. We're going to type in img, hit tab, hey, fills it all in. Inside of here, we're going to go to our images folder and we're going to go and use this one called Gold Rush. Nice little preview there, thank you. Next is the alt text. This is used by screen reading software and also what appears on the page if the images don't load. In this case, we'll put the artist name in there. Check your browser. There he is there. I love that image. So the next thing to add is, here's my finished version. We're going to add this H2 and that is a P tag. Now what we want to do is we want our H2 to look different from the H2 we've got at the top here and our P tag here to look different from this P tag. And we're going to do that using something called a class. So it's going to go in this container here. Okay. And so we're going to put in an H2. Remember, we're going to put H2 and then tab, presto. This one's going to be Gold Rush. And then so it doesn't look like the other H2, we're going to put in something called a class. Now a class, you can see there, I'm going to put return in and it fills in all the syntax that I need, including the equals and the quote marks. This one's going to be artwork title. This just gives it a little bit of a specific name. So it's an H2 still, awesome, but it's going to apply the CSS styling called artwork title just to make it look a little different. Same with my P tag down here. So P and then tab. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll add a class. This one is artwork text. Paste the text in my browser. Great, H2 and a P tag. And they look different from my other H2 and P tag. Next is the see more button. Okay, there's a little link to click. We'll do that underneath the P tag. And remember we typed in the href. Okay, and we started typing in the long way. Remember, it gets quicker and you can probably guess it's A, then hit tab, puts all the stuff in for us, lovely. We don't have a link for this to go to at the moment, so we're going to use that pound or hash sign. Okay, and what we'll do here is we'll add our class as well. And there's a see more class we're going to add. Lovely. The actual text goes between these angle brackets, see more. Check in the browser, see more, there he is. Here's a link, nice. So well done everyone, we've added lots of HTML content, the real common stuff, the p tags, the h1s, the images, the hyperlinks, and those are the really common building blocks for a web page. Now we've been a little sneaky because we've had the styling already done. What I'd like to do is just show you what the HTML that we've done today looks like without all the pretty styling that already exists. Because what you'd do is you add your h1, then you go off and style it with CSS. Now there are lots of lovely videos here to help you with CSS, but we've kept that nice and separate. So let's go and turn it off to see what happens. So in Dreamweaver, if I scroll to the top, this link here links my styles to this page here, and I can get rid of it by selecting it and deleting it. And you can see what's happened in the background here. Okay, this is just displaying the HTML that I put in. There it is, there's my UL and allies, there's my H2s, there's my H1, there's an image, okay, there's some links, there's the footer, and without any styling, that's what HTML looks like. So they go hand in hand, the best of buds. You put the HTML in your HTML page, then you style that using your CSS sheet. Well done everyone, that's it for adding HTML content to your web page.